Welcome back to 100 Pounds Down, where we preach the gospel of GLP-1 and the word is good. I'm Kristen DiBiase, and after a lifetime of struggling with obesity, I lost over 41% of my body weight on tirzepatide, also known as Mounjaro and Zepbound, and I'm never going back. If you've been considering starting anti-obesity meds like these, Ozempic or Wegovy, you're already in the middle of your journey, or you're getting close to that maintenance phase and wondering what comes next, bring it in. To announce that the GLP-1 journal is here. I finally finished this thing. It took forever. There was just a lot of manual production that was necessary to do this thing. And it was a slog. It was a real slog, just trying to get through all of it, to do all of the programming within there, to do the customizations. I put in so much work on this thing that I'll do a little spin through really quick here just to show everybody what it looks like. I'm really proud of it. I'm hoping that people will be able to really get a lot of mileage out of this thing because it really incorporates just all of the things that I really wish that I had done when I started this journey. I learned a lot while I was going, and I've taken the things that I learned and I've tried to put them together in a place for all of you so you can track on things and not have to necessarily learn by doing and going through it yourself. So we're looking at the Mounjaro and Zepbound version of the journal. It is also available in the Ozempic and Wegovy semaglutide version. And soon I will also be putting out a version for CagriSema, which is also from Novo Nordisk, and another for Triple G or retatrutide from Eli Lilly as well. But the versions for Mounjaro, Zepbound, and Ozempic Wegovy are out there, and they are available on the website. You can also go, if you are big on using YouTube, and you are in the community section, kind of on my channel page, there's a tab there that says shop, and you can also link to it from there. So this is what the journal will look like. And one of the things, I'm so sorry, y'all. I know I keep itching my nose. Kitty has been up in my grill today. And there's just like cat fur, it's tickling my nose and it just keeps itching me this whole time. So sorry, I keep doing that. So this is what it looks like. And one of the things that I really wanted to do was take kind of the thing that everybody else kind of does and make it better. For people who have seen, if you are looking at doing like journaling or something like that, a lot of people will sell a journal on like Etsy or Amazon for like $30. And they sell these and they really aren't functional like as an actual journal unless you have a separate standalone note-taking app. And so I found that really frustrating just for myself because I was just trying to kind of put this together and I was like, oh, maybe it'll be easy. I can do that. But then I kind of looked into everything and it's just crazy. You're basically really just turning stuff into wallpaper that you kind of layer inside of a separate note-taking app. And all of the good note-taking apps are going to charge you a subscription monthly to use them because that's kind of how they work. So I found that really annoying. And the other part with these is, they sell these for like $30. You get them and then you look and it's literally like the cover is very pretty, but the inside is just, it's all kind of blank. Again, it's a wallpaper. So if you have a page or something, the page is there, but the only way it actually works is if you're using it inside a note-taking app, because the journal itself is just wallpaper, and you're then writing your notes in the note-taking app on top of the picture of what the page looks like. Yes, it is actually as convoluted as I just explained it to be. And that's what I did not like about kind of any of this. Okay. So let me kind of show you what I did instead. So the first thing was, I was like, okay, so this note-taking app thing, it's kind of trash. If you ever decide like you don't want to use your note-taking app anymore, I'm pretty sure some of them have the ability to export, but all of these note-taking apps have their own kind of proprietary like coding and data. So you can't just port your information necessarily from place to place. So I pretty quickly ruled out, I'm like, I don't want to do this through a note-taking app because that's annoying. So I decided, all right, I want to do a PDF. And that is when we then discovered the many, many things around PDF, which is like cut and paste. It doesn't work the same way as like a normal piece of paper in Microsoft Word would. And so that's how I ended up having to like learn how to freaking do JavaScript, which is insane. Heaven help us all if we were not in the era of AI, because Chat GPT like taught me how to do this minor coding through some trial and error. I had to do a lot of the thinking myself. Anybody that's trying to use Chat GPT to cheat on things, like, please don't. It's so bad at things. It's so bad at that kind of thing. Anyway, I digress. So I spent a ton of time making this in a PDF because everyone has access to PDF documents, okay? I wanted to make this actually interactive and where you could actually type or use like your stylus. If you've got it on your phone, you can write in the actual journal itself, okay? So that was what took me so long in putting this thing together, because I wanted this to actually have like real functionality for people. So it is fully interactive. You'll see that my little mouse here has turned into a finger. That's because this is the front cover. And if you click on it, it opens and takes you to the first page. So the first page of this is your kind of master index page. This is how you get every single other place inside of the journal. And there's a couple of different indices that you will be able to see. So if you want to go back to the front cover, it takes you back to the front cover. If you want to go to the back cover, it takes you down to the back cover. So let's go back home. All right. Of course, it is resizing. 1 second. Let's fit it to. All right. So this is your main index page. There's instructions that tell you how to do this, but a lot of people just like to have a walkthrough to be able to see, like, well, how does this actually work? So I'm going to do that here briefly. This is the instructions and the appendix. It literally tells you exactly how to use this workbook. There is a start here page. It tells you exactly how to use everything. So I already showed you our index page. That has all of the links that tell you how to get to the instructions, how to get to the prep materials that I've shown you in some photos before, and we'll go through that. And it also takes you to the start page for every single one of those individual rounds. Anytime you need to get to the index page, you can hit that little star on the yellow tab, and it's going to take you right back here to the index. Then we'll go back to the instructions again, because that's what's telling us about these other places. You then have shot days, and weigh-in days. So this is telling you kind of how to actually use the functions that are there. While you're in the weight loss phase, you are taking your injection most of the time. If you are following kind of a standard protocol, you're taking your injections once a week. Shot day is whatever day that you have decided is going to be the day of the week that you take your shot. So that is always going to be day one of any cycle within this journal. So the part that is a little hinky here, and those of you who watched my video on winning your weigh-in, you know about the super genius hack that I talk about. I've incorporated that hack into this journal. So shot day is day one of whatever your shot week is. Now, it doesn't have to go from Sunday is the first day of the week, so you've got to take a shot on Sunday. Whatever day is your shot day. In our house, shot day is Wednesday. So Wednesday is day one of a week within this journal for us. For you, it might be a Tuesday. It might be a Thursday. It might be that Sunday, but it's whatever you want, because these are not based on calendar dates. It is based by dates of the weeks of the round. Weigh-in day is going to be the day that you officially record your weight for that particular week. Now, I'm going to spoil a little bit here because you see how I explain it when we talk about what that looks like. But weigh-in day is the day after shot day. It is day two of your week. Because you get a little bit of a boost from getting your shot. A lot of people will drop a little bit of water weight the day after the shot, kind of in between. So it gives you like a nice little boost when you are doing your weigh-in. So within that, you will then see that when you are doing a date, you've got your day one, which is going to be shot day, and your day two, which is going to be weigh-in day. So here I'll go back and we will show you by going to one of these rounds what I'm talking about. So here we are in round one. Notice here I've got day one, that is shot day. It's got a little shot on it, and you've got day two, and that has the little scale on it. So it's really easy for you to keep track as you are going through each day. There's a visual reminder, I'm supposed to take my shot today. Oh, today is the day I weigh in. And each week you see that another 7 days later, you've got another shot day, you've got another weigh-in day. So that's what we're talking about there in that particular section of our instructions. Every week starts with shot day. So you're going to complete your weeks page on day one of each week, except for your current weight, which you will record in that space when you do your weigh-in on day two. You'll also want to hold off on recording last week's total lost, because again, you have to wait for day two to find out what that's going to be. So let's take a look and show you what the weeks pages look like. So to get to the weeks page, you are in the index, whatever round you're about to go to. So say we're in round one. Along the side here, you see these tabs. Depending on what kind of page you're on, these side tabs will change. Within a round, which a round is a full 28 days, because there's 4 pens in a box typically, and most of the titration when you are going up on one of these medications is in a 28-day cycle of 4 weeks. So within that round, the first thing that I'm talking to you all about is your round stats. So again, your current weight, you're not going to record that until day two. Your last round total loss, you're not going to record that also until day two, because this will tell you how much you lost since the start of your last round. So this is your round page that checks in on where you are. This is very similar to, if you go back here again, your weight goal beginning stats page. So let's click here. This is your starting stats. So one of the things I did not do this time, and I did it on purpose, but honestly, because I was so wildly successful here in a way I never had been, even though I did lose substantial amounts of weight in my other attempts, I've never been able to get to where I have gotten using GLP-1 medication. And so I felt really good about the medication, but I wanted to just do something different. So I didn't do all of that. We're about to start a journey kind of prep that I usually would do on all of those other attempts, because I wanted to just be different with this one this time. Unfortunately, in making that choice, I did not take starting photos. You have the ability here to actually take starting photos from the front, the back, or the side. If you decide you want to take something different, you don't have to put those kinds there. Whatever kind of photos you want to take, you have the ability to upload and find one. So if you are thinking, okay, I'm gonna find a photo of myself here. So what you can't see right now is it's opened up the dialog box for me to be able to upload a photo. So you'll see that when you are actually in the journal itself. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to upload a photo just to show you what this looks like. And then you will be able to see when the photo uploads. So let's go ahead and pick one. And I have got the image that I've selected. You still can't see it yet. But what I'm seeing is there's a little dialog box that tells you to select an image. You can browse your computer. If you do this on your phone, you can browse, whatever, folders and things that you have there to be able to upload. And then you hit OK. And ta-da, there you go. I have uploaded this photo. If you decide, oh, that's not the photo I wanted there, it's easy for you to just click on it. It's going to open that dialog again. You can hit clear image within the dialog, and it is going to get rid of the photo. So you've got the ability to actually upload your photos from your starting before you take any shot. That'll be there. You can, put the date of your starting stats, what weight you started at, your starting BMI, body fat percentage, if you're tracking for diabetes, your A1C, if you have gone and gotten these numbers from your doctor, your cholesterol. I personally think that everybody should have a blood pressure cuff at home for home monitoring. We've got 2 in our house, so you're able to track that here. And then down here, these are some measurements that you are able to do. I've got waist circumference there because that's an important one for folks that are tracking this for health reasons. We know that your waist circumference measurement is a critical number when your doctors are looking at this information for obesity medicine purposes. But you are able to create, let's say I want to do like bust. I can type that in and then I can put in some numbers, like let's say 36B, for example. So there'll be inches, that are there, things like that. So that is information you are able to add in here. So this is your starting stats page, and you can get to your starting stats page from the index page right here, or on the index tabs right here. You can get there those 2 different ways. At the very end, when you finish your journey, you have the ending stats, the exact same page, except for now, this is at the end of your journey or at the end of this journal, depending on how long your journey may be. And that's one of the things that's really cool about this journal is I will show you, you have the ability for a lot of people. If you really want to lose 100 pounds, this journal will likely for many, many people be able to sustain you and get you all the way to the 100 pounds plus mark. And that is because there are 16 rounds that I have programmed into this journal, which is, it's a little bit less than, because of the difference in the number of days in a month, it's just slightly less than 15 months of time. So this is something that can really go the distance and take you for your entire journey. Now, I showed you all the starting and ending stats, what that looks like. And we're going to go back to the instructions in the appendix in a minute, because it kind of talks to you about how to do these things. But what we were talking about in the instructions was this idea of when you're in a round, like what your start pages look like. When you're in a round, notice you can get back to your beginning stats always from your round. You can get to your weight goals and your goal rewards from your round, but you can also get to those from the index page. So this is kind of showing you how to get to these different places. Now, what is your weight goals? You click here, you are able to break down your big goal into smaller, more manageable goals. So you are constantly in a process of achieving goals. You're getting that dopamine hit on the brain. You are able to track that you are really making progress. And so you'll put your start weight here, and then you can put information in here of what your goals are. Some of those, you know, they may be numbers in terms of, I want to hit a specific weight. It might be, you know, some people will say, I want to lose 5% of my body weight. And that might be a goal that is in here. And you can put those goals in. But one of the things that you should really do, not just set goals. And again, if you're in the index or in any of the starting pages, you're going to be able to see, this is what I essentially have as the index tabs. So the index page always has the same set of 7 tabs. It takes you to the instructions. It takes you here to your goals page. And then it takes you to our next section as well, which is the goal rewards. If you're setting goals for yourself, you should also figure out, what am I going to do to celebrate that I've met these goals? So they can be all kinds of things. You know, some people might have a certain pair of jeans that they have been looking forward to trying on again. A lot of us have goal outfits that we want to do. And so maybe that's a reward. I'm going to wear my goal outfit out to some event. If you hit a really big goal, so we've got your goal reward and your moonshot reward, which those correspond to, back on your goal page, your goal weight and your moonshot goal. The reason I put goal weight and moonshot goal here is because my original goal weight when I started my journey was 160 pounds. And that is simply because, based on my height and the body type that I have, it said that the acceptable kind of healthy range for weight for somebody who is me is between 130 and 160 pounds. So for me, I set my goal weight at 160 pounds because that put me at the high end of what was the healthy weight range for me. When I set that goal, I really did not know if I would get there, but I was going to just give it my all to try. So imagine like how insane it was for me to get to that goal, which is 20 pounds lower than previously the lowest weight that I had ever been able to attain. And so that's when I realized, oh, I could actually go past like just scraping my way into the high end of my proper weight range for my height and build. So I shot for the middle. So my moonshot goal, as folks were aware, was 145 pounds. And that is what my moonshot goal ended up being, because I met my kind of initial goal weight. And a lot of people, I feel, will have that same phenomenon happen to them, especially if you've never been able to lose down to a certain amount ever before, having done all of this without the assistance from having the metabolic re-regulation helping you get healthier from the inside out. So that's why we've got goal weight and moonshot goal, and then celebrations for those as well. Now, the next thing, again, you can get to it from over here in the tabs, but you can also get there from back on the index page, is the self-inventory. I really recommend that anyone who is starting on this journey really sit down and do a self assessment to be able to reflect on, why are you doing this? What are the reasons that are motivating you? So you can always have something to look back at when you are going through periods where things are kind of hard, or things are feeling a little stressful, or maybe, when you took your shot this week, it just didn't quite get in right, and you feel like you're ravenously hungry, maybe like the day before shot day, things like that, to keep you back on track and remember, like, why am I doing this? And so that's here, this area to put in your reflections. You can also then do a challenge assessment, which I also recommend people should do before they set about this journey. This is where you can take the obstacles that you already know are things that are going to be kind of trouble spots for you, or stuff that you know that you have struggled with, and you kind of list them on this side, and then come up with multiple ideas to troubleshoot ways that you can help yourself get around those obstacles, or if needed, help you kind of fight against some of the things that can be more difficult. That way, when you are in the middle of one of those obstacles, it's not quite as hard for you to think about, what should I be doing? You can always go back here in the journal and look at those ideas that you came up with, the brainstorms of things that you could do to help yourself out. So I really wanted to have this self-inventory there because the real reason for this journal is all about the data. It is you using what you know about yourself and taking that information in the aggregate, all of it, just using that to help figure out the best way to optimize what you are doing for your journey, because all of us are different, and what works for some of us may not work for others. Now, the next thing is very handy. I just made sure that I included this in here as well, not just for the folks who decide to sign up and get it from me from my website, but the GLP-1 prep shopping list is also included in here inside the journal. And of course, all of those, again, are interactive links that take you directly to these products. Again, as I've always said, these are affiliate links. I may get a few pennies or so if you click on my link and use that to do your purchases. But I always want to make sure that everybody does know that these are affiliate links. And if somebody clicks on my links, I may be able to receive a little bit of change. But I can tell you, ain't nobody getting rich off of the links that I'm sending. Okay, so again, you can get to that off of your index page as well. So anything that's here in this before you begin section is also going to be along the side on your index tabs. So those are all of your kind of pre-start pages. Now let's go back to those instructions. we talked about your weeks pages and your rounds pages, and I showed you your round page, but now I'm going to show you your weeks pages. And to get to your round page, you go to the index and you click on the round that you are in. Now, similar to the main index, each round has its own index. So the round index tabs are going to be here down the side, and they're going to take you to your starting stats page, which is similar to your ultimate starting stats page, but you also want to be chronicling how things are going for you along the journey, because that's, again, something that I sometimes did not do. So it is really just giving you the opportunity to be able to do that. Again, down these sides, you've got the ability for your photos. You have your round start page where you're able to update all of this data. Again, you don't want to do the weight and last round total loss pages until day 2 of that round. You also, with your pounds to next goal, you'll want to wait until you've done the weigh-in for that week to update that and the pounds to your final goal. This is just a good place where, you can track it on basically a monthly basis, the ability to see where your numbers are going. If they're going down, how are they changing? And again, you're able to add these additional areas for other measurements down here as well. Now, within your round, that is the This Round button here. On this page only, this is your round stats button, and that's how it gets you there. Now, within your round, going back, the other tabs, weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the same. So if you're on your stats page, it's going to be the same. If you're on your round page, it's going to be the same here. So this is what a weeks page looks like. This is your week page. So again, you are filling in most of this information on day 1 on the right side, with the exception of anything that's tied to your weight. You can put here where you took your injection, the dose that you are taking, which round you are in, the time of day that you took your injection. And again, here's some extra spaces down here for you to add other measurements or other things that you want to do. I only kind of put those areas where you could kind of have a title. I kind of added there just in the first one so you could see what it looked like, but you're really able to use all of these kind of however you would wish, as long as you're really trying to kind of be consistent through each of it. So this is the page that you will do at the start of each week. So that means when you are starting a new round, like, you've got a little bit of extra work that you're doing, right? Because you're going to be doing your round page and your week 1 page on the same day. Now, here is where I do have this in the instructions to give you a little bit more clarity, but it is kind of a bounce back and forth when you are on your week page. This half you are doing right from the start, at the start of the week, at the top of your week on day 1, with the exception of anything that has to do with your pounds lost, which is day 2. So these are day 2. Everything else on this side is day 1. At the end of that week, so maybe, as or things are happening, you will then rate the week overall. So for the week overall, you're going to wait until day 7, at the end of day 7, to decide, what kind of week did I have? Was it, 5 stars? Was it 4 stars only? Was this like a very bad week and it was like a 1-star week? You're going to be able to rate your overall week, how things were. And that's whatever you want to include in how the week went, how you feel, the progress you are or are not making. Anything can go into this, because this is your journal. You're only sharing it with people if you want to. Otherwise, it's there for you. Here you can put in reflections on the week. So this is a really good place to take notes about things that were going on in the week. Maybe broader themes if you noticed some things that were happening. Non-scale victories that happen during the week. That is important to really include here because this is some of that data that you can pull up for yourself to do reality checking. So, you know, when we've talked in previous videos around, am I in a stall, right? People often will think that they are in a stall. And, you know, then they take a look at the data if they have been keeping track. And it's like, oh, well, actually, you know, I did lose some weight every single week. It's just not as much as I maybe did, you know, the last month. Or things like that. You can kind of be able to reality check yourself to know, am I just saying that because that's how I feel right now? Or what is the data actually saying? Does that help to prove what I am thinking? Or does it help to show me, hey, things aren't as bad as I'm thinking that they are? Because the human brain is fun that way. We like to lie to ourselves. Now, that's at the end of the week. Within a week page, you're going to see your day tabs. So this now takes you to the days within that particular week down in these tabs. So here we are in week 1. You will now see what a daily page looks like. This is your daily page. This is the page that you are going to complete every single day of your journey. So you can put your date there, you put the round that you are in, and this is where you are going to be really doing a lot of that deep dive on kind of tracking what's happening with you and what's going on in your journey. So I have a little kind of set of notes here to remind you. This is your appetite and satiety section. So this section is going to be focusing on when you're hungry, what does it feel like? And then after you have eaten, what is that feeling like? So you're going to be using this to note any trends that you are seeing happen. So down here, for example, you've got your hunger before you eat in one side. And we've got some choices here. It goes from starving / that empty feeling, that nauseated feeling. So that's really, really hungry feeling. Like so bad, it actually almost kind of hurts or you feel sick. A step up from that, like you are ravenously hungry. A step up for that, you've got some hunger and it's growing. And then we have a little kind of bracket here. This little bracket kind of symbolizes where you want to be sitting, both within the hunger and the fullness side of this appetite and satiety scale. So you always generally want to be sitting within, if you are hungry, just you're hungry here. Or you are feeling neutral and you are not feeling hungry. Or if you have eaten, you feel satisfied. This is the range that you're kind of wanting to stay in. So that's why that little bracket is there. Now, on the fullness after eating side, we start off with you're feeling satisfied. You ate something, you no longer feel hungry. Then going up the scale, you feel full, which is different than satisfied, right? Then you're moving up again. Now you're feeling stuffed. So you're starting to get a little uncomfortable with the feeling of fullness that you're having. It then moves to bloated or painfully full. This is what happens when we overeat and our signals in our brain don't tell us in time. So people who eat very, very fast and kind of wolf their food down before the satiety signals are getting to their brain, can often end up here in this bloated or painfully full place. And even worse, on the far end of the scale, get to nausea and vomiting. So that is the appetite and satiety scale on the top. Then over here, you're going to be tracking head hunger. So you've got the head hunger is happening more, it's happening less, it is gone, or I don't have this. And for the lucky ones of you who are taking a GLP-1 medication and never had head hunger, good on you, because I didn't even realize what head hunger was until I didn't have it anymore. So you're able to track that. Because this information could tell you at the point in time when you are looking at either titrating up or maybe when you are getting to maintenance, how well the medication level that you are on is working in sustaining you based on whether that head hunger is returning. And then here, you've got a place where you can talk about any food aversions you're having or any changes in how things taste, because those are things that I noticed as I was going through this journey. At one point in time, I was just really hardcore, like off of eggs. I could not eat eggs. And I really like eggs. Eggs are kind of a standard, kind of standby food for me as a good kind of not overpowering way to get in protein if you're trying to get in protein from eating food. For a while, I went through a period where I could not look at somebody's egg. I was so egged out. I was just like, no, cannot. And then changes in taste. You will start to notice, especially if you're a person who has had a lot of sugar in your diet, you will notice that things start to taste different. Things that have natural sweetness start to taste. You can taste that sweetness of natural things, that's just because you have less sugar in your diet, which it's good if that is something that's happening and you want to track that too. But very specifically, when it comes to being on a GLP-1 medication, it will actually, in a lot of people, and this happened to me, and it also happened to my husband for some things, it will change how things that you have enjoyed in the past taste. I loved Twizzlers. I love them, like the strawberry ones, the cherry ones. I even like the chocolate ones, but not the licorice flavor. I'm not a big anise fan. And so I can still eat Twizzlers now, but honestly, they just don't taste that good. They have a little bit of a plasticky taste to me now, and that is the GLP-1 medication having kind of re-regulated and made some changes in my body. But that is something that happens to a lot of people. There will be certain things that you enjoyed in the past that don't taste as good anymore. Or there may be flavors that you are completely put off of entirely. Here are sections for food and exercise. Now, you notice when you look at the rest of the page, these take up very small an amount of real estate. And I did that on purpose. And you can kind of see where I talk about that more if you are looking in the store at the information that I've put down about the journal. There are tons and tons of apps that do that really, really well. And that is really not what my journal is about. I wanted to put some information space in there for you if you are kind of a completist or a person that wants everything all in one place in order to be able to kind of track. So if you want to write down the foods that you had and, put in the number of calories that those were, you can put that information in there. And the same with any exercise that you're doing. But again, I'm not trying to do something that other people are already doing and doing way better in a much more convenient type of format. But I did want to leave a little space there for people who were interested in putting that information down. Here is your daily minimums section. This is the stuff that you need to be making sure that you are tracking on every single day, because this is what is really going to make your GLP-1 medication work the best for you. In the daily minimum section, you are tracking on your protein goal. So first, you've got these two buttons. Either you met your protein goal for that day or you did not meet it for the day. And if you didn't meet it, what was your deficit? So how short were you in the amount of protein that you were trying to get in that day? You can also check off as you are drinking liquid to get to your liquid goals for the day. This goes up to 64 ounces. In general, you should really be trying to shoot for at least, 60 to 64 ounces of liquid per day in order to stay hydrated. This medication loves protein and this medication loves hydration. You will not see things work as well for you as you could if you are not making sure that those two things are getting in accurately and consistently. Now, then the other two things that you will want to be tracking on a regular basis are your fiber. Did you meet your fiber goal for the day or did you not meet it? And so for me, what that really just looks like is, did I take my fiber gummies in the morning and at night as I typically do? So I did or I didn't. And then calories here, this is going to really vary depending on where you are in your journey and what your actual struggles are. For people who have more of an overeating issue, you may need to also track on your calories because the whole thing, we talk a lot on this channel about how it's not just calories in, calories out. But calories in, calories out does absolutely come into play. The way that these medications work, among all of the many other ways that we've talked about, is by enabling you to take in less calories, because a lot of those obstacles that can prevent that or make it hard to stay under a certain calorie level are healed, or they are blocked, or they are worked on. So if you're a person who has a large calorie load that you have been eating in the past, you might want to track on calories just to make sure that you are eating less calories than your body needs to maintain the same weight. As long as you are in a deficit in that number, even slightly, you should lose weight. Now, the bigger the deficit is, the faster that you will lose, the more weight that people will lose. Generally speaking, if we're assuming that all things are equal, that there's no metabolic dysfunction, that everything is working properly in the way that it's supposed to be. And that's what this medication is helping you to be able to do. People who should not be tracking on calories are folks who have a history of certain types of EDs. One of the things that is a real risk for people who are on GLP-1 medications is that it can lead to disordered eating in people who are prone to that, or who have a propensity toward that, or who have a history of that. And so if you are one of those people, I'm going to encourage you to not track on calories and to really instead track on these other things in your data to see how you are feeling, because you don't want to get into a place where you kind of trigger some of those unhealthy and dangerous habits that could really hurt you and harm your health. The other folks who actually probably will want to track calories are people if they are in the boat that I was in. which a lot of people end up in. You are so not hungry when you are on the medication. If you're a person who has lost their appetite entirely, you need to be tracking your calories because you need to eat a minimum number of calories. It turns into a different game that's not very fun, but you do need to make sure you're eating enough, because you will start essentially leaching the nutrients, and the good stuff out of your body, in order to continue kind of surviving. And that's not a place that you want to get into. Now over here, this is a little area where you can track on your sleep habits, because a lot of people will notice changes in their sleep as they move from an unhealthy weight to a healthier weight. But people will also notice changes in their sleep very specifically based on the fact that they are using a GLP-1 medication. Some people will have a bit of insomnia. Many people get very, very tired, especially early on when they are first in the journey, and the few days that are following the shot day as well. So here you're checking kind of two kind of sets of information within the sleep habits area. The amount of sleep you're getting. Are you sleeping less? Is there no change really to the amount of sleep that you are getting, or are you sleeping more? Because insomnia can be a side effect that some people get here as well. And then you're tracking the condition of the sleep that you are getting. Are you sleeping like normal? Are you finding it hard to fall asleep? Are you finding it hard to wake up? Are you finding it hard to stay asleep? Or are you waking up early? Because I had a little bit of early waking randomly. I started waking up at like 4 a.m. On a not infrequent basis in the early days of my journey. And that was hella annoying. So that's the sleep habits area. You then have this area where you can track your mood. So here, this is really just going to be, you can kind of check that off if you are having that particular thing. And so for you, you'll want to be consistent, because we all know like all of these different emojis and things, like they all mean something different to everybody. So you can kind of check off what those are. And the way that these are kind of here, like I've kind of done that. So if you're able, you can click on it so you can see what the actual little emoji is, because the overlay does kind of make these a little bit opaque. So if you want to see what the emojis are, you can kind of just click 2 times and you can see what each of them are. And then along with your mood tracking, you also want to click here if you are noticing a lack of motivation, because one of the side effects that a lot of people will run into for a period of time when they are earlier in the journey on a GLP-1 medication is you will actually get a little bit of anhedonia, Anhedonia. Anhedonia basically means like it's clinical meh, for lack of a better way to kind of explain what that is. You will not feel like doing anything. Like you are not motivated around anything. And it's different than feeling sad. For folks who have struggled with depression, as I have shared that I do, it doesn't feel the same as when you're getting into kind of a depressive episode. It has for me some overlap with that, but without the sadness or the irritation that I usually get when I am getting depressed. Also, you know, some folks who feel a bit of hopelessness if they get depression, it doesn't really have those emotional pieces around it. It's like if you stripped the emotions out of a depressive episode and just were left, for me anyway, how it feels when I get it. Anhedonia just kind of feels like don't want to do anything, like not feeling bad, but yeah. Even my fun little pastime of just randomly like turning my brain off by watching YouTube, I did not want to do when I was going through that phase. And then the other thing here is unaliving thoughts. That is something you want to also be tracking on, because for some people like me, because I already knew that I had some neurotransmitter deficiencies genetically, that this has really helped kind of fill in the gaps on this medication. There are other people who have had a different response on GLP-1 medications where it has made them become maybe sad or gone down a road toward depression or depressive thoughts or even thoughts around unaliving. And so you really want to be tracking on that as well within mood. Here is a section on dehydration warning signs. And so these are things you should also be daily tracking, because dehydration feels different than you would necessarily think it does. Like when you are thirsty, you've been dehydrated for a while already. And honestly, sometimes dehydration can be very surprising in how it feels, that like you don't have any thirst at all, which is, you consider the opposite, but it can be one of the signs that you are getting dehydration. So some of those warning signs, and you can track on those here. Okay, I'm not having any dehydration warning signs today. Headache. For folks who have had a dehydration headache, or folks that suffer from different kinds of headaches, as I do, as somebody who has chronic illness, different kinds of headaches feel different for me, and I have them in different places in my head. So I know what a dehydration headache feels like, because I very easily got dehydrated back when I was in recovery after having bariatric surgery. So if you're a person who has multiple types of headaches, trust yourself and how you know how your certain kinds of headaches feel. And you will start to recognize what your dehydration headache feels like. Leg cramps, that is a sign that you are dehydrated or that your electrolytes are not in balance. And dehydration is often what is going to lead to that issue. So leg cramps are there. Dry mouth is something that people struggle with on GLP-1s anyway. But if it's getting really bad, also chapped lips is the same. Chapped lips is a clear indicator, especially if you're not in a chapped lips kind of time of the season, that you could be having some dehydration as an issue. And then, as I said before, high thirst, if you're very, very thirsty, like you've been dehydrated for a while, and no thirst at all is also a warning sign for dehydration. Then down here, your gut check. The gut check, this is a pretty big section, right? I mean, it's coming up on at least 1/6 of the real estate on this page. And that is because we spend so much time around the oopsie poopsies, right? And so I'm going to be doing a video very, very soon on the oopsie poopsies. But the gut check section is something that you will want to also be monitoring. Here is actually stool monitoring. And so we're going to go back to the appendix for the guide on what is this, like how do you fill this out? So before we do that, let me see if I can scroll in a little bit so you can see this a little better. Okay, so in the gut check section, we are looking at stool, and you're going to see this SC, MC, and these are all colors, right? A and B, you see another bracket, so you know that that is standing for like the normal range. You see a C, an MD, and an SD. So now we're going to go to the appendix and see exactly what those mean. So to get to the appendix, we go back to the index, and we're going to the instructions and appendix page. So we've gone through all of this information already, and we continue on the next page. We are going through the daily pages right now with that information. If you want to see it again in writing, is there. We've talked through how to do all of those pre-work pages as well. And here is your daily page appendix. So the daily page appendix goes through and is telling you exactly the things that I've been walking you through on your daily page. But then the second page of the appendix, you see how we've talked about dehydration. We're talking here about the gut check. So you're going to be noting activity of the gut check pretty frequently throughout this journey. And so here is the gut-related issues. And those are the most common kind of side effects that people have on GLP-1 medication. So I'm going to show you this little chart, which is the stool classification chart. This is like a real chart. I've gotten this from kind of Wikipedia, from the Wiki Commons, but I did, because I just couldn't leave it exactly the way that it looked. I did add a little bit of the color tinting, so it's not quite as gross, right? So let's zoom in on this a little bit so we can see. All right, so when you through this, because for folks who are in the audience who may be visually impaired or blind, obviously we have the captions that are available for folks that have hard of hearing or deafness. But let me go ahead and give a description of what these say. So again, we talked about type 1, which there is a picture of separate hard lumps, and that represents severe constipation. You have type 2, which shows lumpy and sausage-like, which represents mild constipation. On the chart, again, in the gut check, that is the MC. Type 3, which is a sausage shape with cracks in the surface, that is representing normal. Type 4, like a smooth, soft sausage or snake, also representing normal. Type 5, soft blobs with clear-cut edges, which is representing somebody that is lacking fiber. Type 6, which is mushy consistency with ragged edges, is mild diarrhea. And type 7, which is liquid consistency with no solid pieces, is severe diarrhea. So if you are not remembering, you can always go back to this appendix to look at the stool classification chart so you know exactly what you are supposed to be logging in the gut check. Okay, so within that, let's then go back to our index. We're going to go to round 1, and we are going to round 1, week 1, or we can just click on the main round page each of these days. If you know exactly what day you're on in your round, you can just click to go to that day. So that's what the gut check is talking about here when you see stool. So you'll see the far end constipation on the left, moving to those normals in the middle, which is where the bracket is. And then toward the right, you move toward your entries that talk about diarrhea. All right, so then we are looking within the gut check at nausea, which has none, mild, more, or severe. And anytime you see something that has a radial button, you can check one of those. If you see a box, you can also check the box. So if you are having this thing frequently on this day, frequent severe nausea, that's what that's going to look like. You're checking that off, and you're also clicking that box. We have kind of the same thing with heartburn. None, mild, more, or severe, and then you can also put frequent. With belching, you have less, no change in your amount of belching, more, and you can also check off whether that is frequent belching or if you are having sulfur burps, because a lot of people have sulfur burps on some GLP-1 medications. Then you have a section that talks about gas, and that's divided into two types. We've got flatulence, which obviously that's the fart side, And then you have intestinal, which is really talking about like inside our piping in our body. So on the flatulence side, are you having less gas? Are you having more gas? Is there no change? And is the gas that you are having frequent? So if you are a gassy person, it might be frequent, but that might not be any change compared to you against yourself and looking at how you are changing and evolving. With intestinal gas over here, again, less, more, and no change in the middle. You can also check off whether or not you're having gurgling, whether or not you're having gas pain, whether you're having bloating, and whether any of those things are frequent. And then this last section here is the other side effects section. These are a lot of other common side effects that people have had when they are taking a GLP-1 medication. And then I also have kind of 4 blanks down here for you to add whatever you are noticing, if it's something you're consistently noticing that you are having as a side effect, and it's not one of these things that's already showing up on the list. So some of these other side effects are feeling cold, and that one's like the number one because you will feel very cold. Even my husband, who honestly could probably like sleep in the middle of an igloo in a blizzard in Alaska or possibly Antarctica, even he got cold at points in time when he was on his GLP-1 journey in the very beginning. And every once in a while, you'll just get a batch that you get cold from that particular batch of the shots. Again, sleepiness or tiredness. This idea of windburn pain, that's what I called it. There were periods of time, and many people had this happen. My husband had it happen. I saw that people were commenting about this occurring in forums and things like that, and I had it happen as well. There will be places on your body where that's all I can describe it as. It was a pain that felt similar to if I had gotten windburn. I definitely hadn't gotten windburn because for me, the place where I had it was in a place kind of on my upper thigh that is definitely not seeing the light of day. And it was not chafing. It was not chafing pain. And that actually happened to lots of people. So that is a side effect that is listed there. So if you have something like that happen, that's actually a side effect that a lot of people have noted from GLP-1 medication. Another thing people noted that I also had, tender lumps or knots, just randomly. You'll randomly get these places on your body where you have a knot or a lump and it hurts. And you're like, what is this? And where did it come from? The first time that happened to me, I freaked out, honestly, because I was within the next couple of days about to travel for work, and I was really freaking out and hoping that it wasn't like a blood clot or something and I started kind of spiraling through that whole like thought process of what if I get on the plane and then it dislodges and I have an aneurysm, and I had to, calm myself down a little bit, but it was not a blood clot. But there were some tender lumps and knots in my legs that I would have at random points. Bruising, people will bruise randomly very easily in places. Again, for me, all of this was kind of on my legs. Loss of strength. You are going to definitely have that occur, which is why it is highly recommended that you really engage in strength training during your journey. That is something I should have done. I absolutely should have done strength training while I was going through this. Protein supplementation is the minimum of what you should be doing to make sure that you are getting what your body needs, but it's not honestly going to be enough. You really should engage in strength training as well, so you do not lose as much of your strength. I am pretty weak now and needing to really kind of work on the strength training to get my muscles back to decently functional. Allergic itching this is something I did not notice for a really long time because I have allergies and I have to take Zyrtec every single day. And so I ended up not noticing and realizing that I was having this until a day that I forgot to take my Zyrtec. So anybody who's had allergic itching inside of your body, like, it's this itch where you scratch it and it doesn't stop itching and it almost burns. It's like a burning type of itch. And you can definitely tell it's coming from inside of you. It's not something on your skin that is making you itch. The itching is coming internally, like from you. Your body is making these sensations happen. Increased urination. Everybody, this being on GLP-1s, a lot of people have to pee more, despite the fact that like a lot of us are half dehydrated and needing to make sure we're getting in enough liquids. You somehow will still have to pee all the time. That's what I noticed. And a lot of other people did as well. But so those are the other side effects, and you've got spaces to put your own. That is what your daily page looks like. So as you're going through and doing all of your daily pages, on each day, the tabs over here, when you're on your daily page, will take you either back to the week that you are in, or they will take you back to the round that you are in. And so that is how you negotiate your way through the GLP-1 journal. So this journal is retailing on my website for $99. It is, I think it's worth the price that it has been set for because of all of the things that it will do for you and how it has been designed for you as a person who is going on a GLP-1 journey, especially when you compare to a $30 Etsy or Amazon journal that does not have any of these interactive pieces included in it, and is not portable and is tied to you being in some kind of a subscription on a note-taking app. But for anyone who is a friend of the channel or one of the subscribers to my channel, I'll be sending out the information that I have available for you all on the screen, which is that there is a promo code. So for people who are in the know, that's pretty much going to be a perpetual promo code for my folks who are fans of the channel or who are part of this GLP-1 community. If you use the promo code The Word, you will receive 15% off. That knocks it down before tax to like a little bit over $84. I think that it is well worth doing the work that you need to do for the cost that this journal is worth. This will take you almost 15 months along, and you will be able to have this data and use it to get major insights into what is happening with you and your body on this journey. This will help you in terms of being able to report back to your doctor or folks who are monitoring with you alongside you on this journey. It will help you be able to keep track of what is happening to your body visually. So when you get to the place where you have lost enough weight that you start having body dysmorphia, because that's a thing, you can look and see where you have come from. And you've got that information right in front of you to prove that you are really doing this, that you have really done this. This is really happening for you, and you are making it happen for yourself with this medication. So let's see if I can do it. And Manjaro shortage is all about. And we also did a walkthrough on our new GLP-1 journal. If you think that weight loss injections might be right for you, talk to a medical professional, preferably an endocrinologist or a specialist in obesity medicine, because those are the folks who know these meds the best. I'm not a doctor and I'm not sponsored by any pharmaceutical companies. I'm just one woman who's sharing my own experiences and giving my opinions on these matters. And finally, if you find the channel helpful, absolutely hit that trifecta. Like, subscribe, notifications, and I'll see all of you on the other side. Thanks, everybody.